The cars that are the coolest are the ones that don't have a price. My name is Eric Hof, and I built this 1984 Rod Millen Tribute RX-7. And here's my story as to why this car exists. So when I was a kid, I was never allowed to compete in motorsports. I had dirt bikes, was pretty good at driving go-karts. We had a Formula Roadster team at school, but I was never allowed to compete wheel to wheel, head to head on a racetrack, whether it was bikes, cars, this, that, and the other. My parents didn't let me. It was one thing that was just out of the realm of what they wanted me to do. It was a little bit too unsafe, and they didn't have any experience with supporting a child racing. None of their friends were really super into cars as far as race cars. And my parents enjoy cars, enjoy racing, but they aren't car people, you know? Like they weren't back then as into cars as they are now, amazingly, because I've kind of brought them into the world. The rest of my family, big farmers, dirt bikes, cousins, friends, we always raced each other with our dirt bikes and this, that, and the other. And my parents always gave me the opportunity to tinker and build and mess with the toys that we had around. When I was little, I got a little YZ80 dirt bike. You know, it was blown up. We rebuilt the engine and did all that stuff. My grandpa helped me, and then that stemmed into having a whole slew of different dirt bikes that I bought, sold, traded, this, that, and the other, and ended up, you know, with a big bike by the time I was in high school. All the while I'm riding dirt bikes, Travis Pastrana is the new hotness, Nitro Circus. We're talking 2008. Right? 2006, 2007, 2008. So all this time, Travis Pastrana, watching the Nitro Circus dirt bike stuff, you see him running his rally car, his Subaru rally car at his house, ripping. You watch him in X Games. You know, you see Colin McRae roll the gold car live, you know, when I was a kid. And that stuff just inspired me to want, at some point in my life, I had to race rally cars. That was just something I needed to do. It's not really a good sport to get into to go watch. You really only get to see one corner. The stages are super long, so I never really made it a point to go watch it, but I always loved watching those videos, watching people drive cars, and watching people rally cars, and it was so inspiring to me as a child, you know, to hear Travis Pastrana say, with age, get a cage, and I expected my dirt bike, I'm just going to get too old for it, and I'm going to have to race cars. When I graduated high school and needed a economy car for college, right, what did I do? I went and bought a 1986 Toyota Supra, and it was a Mark III, rear-wheel drive, 5-speed, inline-6, and it was a beast. And I tore the heck out of the gravel roads in and around our little county between my house and my neighbor's house, blew some tires out, caught some ditches, you know, did the whole young rear-wheel drive, super fun car. And all of that was because I knew I wanted to race rally, and I was really comfortable driving on dirt. And eventually, the whole reason the Supra was a thing, which is another story in and of itself, but I had initially went to buy a first gen and the engine blew up on my test drive. Not even kidding you. 12A RX-7, engine blew up when I test drove it. So we found a Supra that was also for sale real close, and that's what I ended up buying. But the first gen and the rotary is what really drove me to want the rear wheel drive cars. And that really wasn't because of rally. I really loved these cars because of the rotary engine and because I thought they were really cool and unique, and because I could afford them at the time, right? So once I fell in love and wanted the first gen, then I discovered this car, the rally car, right? Those two roads, the paths in my life, rally, RX-7s, collided at that point. And there's an awesome video on YouTube. It's really old. It's like 12 years old, 15 years old, whatever it is. It's called Group B RX-7 Rotary Sounds or something like that. And it's basically a 5-minute video of old school footage of rear-wheel drive RX-7 rally cars tearing the heck out of some gravel. It had to be overseas stuff. They had huge wings. The crowds, you know, in the Group B days were right on the street, people getting covered in mud, and I just knew that I needed to do that in my life. So after my Supra, I actually found my silver RX-7 for sale while I was in college. I ended up buying that, selling the Supra, and that started me on this path of getting to know the RX-7 chassis. Fast forward a couple years, I find out that racing rally in the States isn't that too far-fetched, and that you can really do it on a reasonable budget. And at that point, I set out to find an SA RX-7 rally car, which ended up being the Banana. It's my yellow RX-7 rally car, and that thing had so much character. It was such a cool car. And that car checked off that bucket list item of rally a first in RX-7. And the best part about it was, as much as my family wasn't into competing and racing cars, I was somehow able to convince my dad to be my co-driver. And that was I raced 2 events in that car, both events with him. And that is one of the highlights of my life, and it will always be, is being able to take a weekend with him, go to the rally, teach him how to read stage notes, hop in the car, and just go drive on what I could see. But we were having fun together, and that was still is one of my favorite things. What is the epitome of a first in RX-7 rally car, right? In my mind, the best one ever, as much as the blue and white ones are super cool and this, that, and the other, the best one is the all-wheel drive car, because it's a feat of engineering in the 80s. 1982, the Audi UR Quattro made its debut, came out and spanked everybody. Had all-wheel drive, tons of horsepower, thing was a ripper, right? And no one could compete. So what did the Mazda guys do? They already had a sweet little rotary rear-wheel drive race car. Why not make it all-wheel drive and come out there and try to beat up on this Audi? So finding all the cool pictures and the videos and just seeing that picture of the drivetrain of this first gen laying out on the thing, I knew at some point I needed to experience an all-wheel drive RX-7, and it was always my dream, that car, this livery, just to drive that car, right? It has to have the most unique driving experience out of any RX-7. You know, you've got like Rob Dahm building his all-wheel drive 4-rotor crazy machine that, you know, is wild and wouldn't do anything on really a dirt road. You've got all sorts of different other RX-7s that are rear-wheel drive rally cars, you know, doing this, that, and the other. But that car, the all-wheel drive car, has to be the epitome of rally driving in an RX-7. I don't think there could be any other feeling like that car in the world. During my 10 years rallying my little rally program with my yellow car, I came across, from the same guy I bought my yellow car, he had this chassis. It was a white, pretty washed up version. If you saw the walk around video, you saw what it looked like at the very beginning. And I bought that car because you never know if you're going to crash your car and you want a spare. And you can probably see it, but there is a Racing Beat trapezoid strut brace hanging on the wall. And this car, when I bought it from him, came with that strut brace on it. And as much as I say I bought the car for the spare and this, that, and the other, really, I wanted the strut brace. I wanted that strut brace for my street car. It's like the most iconic thing. But anyways, we ended up with this chassis. And I got it home. It had a blown coolant seal. It would still start if you drain the coolant. It was EFI, pretty tore up. And over the course of getting out of racing rally cars and deciding to further the rad potential stuff and start eventually making parts for these cars, I still had a pretty beat up old rally chassis laying around. Beat up rally cars, right, aren't worth any money. So if I wanted to sell it, I wouldn't have made the money back that I paid for it. But I did get all the spares, you know, the engines and this, that, and the other, the strut brace, right? But still, it wasn't quite the worth just selling it. You know what I mean? Taking my $2,000 and getting the car out of my way. And I always had this tick in the back of my head of, man, I can build this car. The one thing that my friends and family had always taught me, you know, you set goals and you achieve them, right? You work hard and you build what you want. So I'd always envisioned owning this one, driving this car. So what's the next best thing to driving the original Millen car, right? Getting a picture of me driving a replica of the Millen car. The channel needed a build, and I set out to build this car. Pretty easy, right? You have a finished goal, the picture of the Millen car, and we have a bare chassis. We're ready to achieve it, you know? It's kind of my Chip Foose way of building cars. He sketches pretty pictures. I just took somebody else's picture, and we're going to build that. But the one thing that a lot of car people don't have in their project cars or whatever is this finished product, right? Your drift cars, your drag cars, your this, that, and the other, they're never done, right? So with having this in mind, I could actually finish it. It would be done. And knowing that I wanted to sell the car at the beginning made it that much easier, right? We're going to build a car. I know what it's going to look like at the end. I know when I can check the box off that I'm finished, and that means we sell it. So why are we selling it? Really, the biggest reason that I want to sell this car is not because it's a lemon or whatever, you know, not because it's a bad car. There's every ounce of effort and good parts and trying to make this car as good as I can make it going on here. But I knew I was going to sell it at the beginning. I wanted to make something super cool and nice. I wanted to achieve one of my goals, which was drive one of these cars. And I don't have space. This is my one little shop, right? And I don't have space to keep it. And I didn't want it to sit outside. So what better way than to pass on my effort, the story, the fun of this car to somebody else who can enjoy it. It's just like when you buy a replica Dale Earnhardt NASCAR. There's a lot of people out there that love NASCAR, that love the sport, and they would love to own a replica Dale Earnhardt NASCAR, but there's only a finite amount of them that are built, right? There's never been a replica of this ever built. And a lot of those people that want to own those cars don't have the capabilities to do it themselves. I thought, what better opportunity than to fill the market, which there isn't one for this. I don't think Rod Millen's going to come off the original car, although I'd love to go to Leadfoot Festival one year and actually see it. Why not build it to sell? That was the goal. The car is on Bring a Trailer right now. I'll post the link to the finished ad in the comments once this is done. And I really hope that whoever gets it rips it. I mean, it's a great car. It's a proven chassis with pedigree. It's got a logbook. I'd love to be able to see this car ripping at some SVRA vintage racing events. I'd love to see this car still getting used. And as much as I would hate to see it sit in somebody's car collection, honestly, it's still super cool that at some point out there, this car has been reimagined and is still, turning heads and inspiring people to love rally. It's one of my favorite things. I've only taken it to Cars and Coffee twice. But when you take a car like this, to a Cars and Coffee event, to a car show, you let the kids sit in the car, right? You talk to their parents and their kids about rally. You show them pictures and videos of rally. You get more people inspired to love the sport that I wish more people loved, and and wish it could be more attainable for people to race in. And that's what makes this car super special. Not so much its value to me, but I really feel that whoever gets it, when you take this car to car shows and you drive it around and use it, that it inspires more people to be rally and to be, dirt road shredders and to have little battle scars and not be afraid of it, not have trailer queens and stuff, as much as I trail with this car everywhere. But I hope that's the impact this car has. I think it's deserving of whatever, somebody pays for it. I have no idea really how to value it. I know how much money I have in it, and I know how much time I have in it. And it's one of those things that the value comes from helping me build my channel and getting some money back to start some manufacturing stuff here and do some other things. And, why let it be sold as a boring, white, beat up rally car? Why not give this chassis a new lease on life and add more to its story? Because the cars that are the coolest are the ones that don't have a price. They're the ones that mean so much to the owner or to the family or to whomever that you can't buy them. And I doubt, this one obviously won't be that. You gotta write the story of your car, and hopefully this one has a bunch more pages in its book. So with that, guys, thank you guys very much for watching. Hopefully we'll see this thing ripping soon. Keep it rad. Dale, yeah.